I'm from Windsor, Ontario. Windsor, Detroit is obviously a huge auto market. My dad worked at GM for 30 plus years. I was a TPT for between my first and second year of college, stacking oil pans off a conveyor belt. It was, number one, the most boring job I've ever had in my life. Number two, the one that probably paid me the most. Paid for my second year of college, getting to stack pans off an oil belt, or off a conveyor belt. But when you look at building a car and you use working the line as an example, Joe at the front of the line does not build the car. Joe might put the airbag in. He might be working on the seats. He may install the seat belts. He may work on the frame, but he's not building the car. In GM's heyday, they'd have about 2,200 people that would be working each shift, from manufacturing to training to technology, all of that. Safe to say, about 1,500 people touch that car before that car goes off the rail and into a dealership and is sold to you guys to drive around to all these small arenas in the middle of the winter. So what it does is just show they're not able to do this, number one, all at once, and they're not able to do it by themselves. Same with a hockey program. If your program is using different language, different structure, different verbiage in any sort, you're using different systems, all that's going to do is confuse the player, make the player more anxious, give them more opportunity to question you, and then vice versa. If you're a U13 head coach, the U12s are coming in, you're running your first practice, you're trying to teach them a forecheck drill, and they have no idea. No idea what you're doing. You could have drawn up the best drill ever in the history of hockey known to man forever. And if you're looking at blank stares, it doesn't mean anything, right? And the reason that might be is because the year before, their coach was talking about something completely different. If they don't understand the verbiage you're using, if they don't understand the structure that you're using, it is going to make things more difficult for those kids. And I'm sure there's a few of you in this room that Septembers and Octobers are necessarily not reaffirming the information that you guys have as a program. It's reteaching the whole thing, right? Don't reteach, reaffirm. Have the same value, have the same goals, have the same structure in mind as an organization. So as you're going through, you're just adding pieces to that car as opposed to having to teach over and over again, or try to teach too much all at once. It happens in the classroom. Show of hands again. How many people have a little bit more silence in their house this week as their kids went back to school? I could stand here for about 30 seconds and give you some of those minutes back. I've got a stepdaughter who's in grade 5, a daughter who's in grade 4, a son who's in grade 2. I can assure you that my daughter's grade 4 student did not walk into that classroom with absolutely no idea and no curriculum to teach whatsoever. It would be impossible, right? Imagine a teacher coming into a classroom with no general idea of what they've been taught before, no idea of what they're going to be taught or what they're going to teach that year, and trying to probably teach what they know. Teach the thing that they're most comfortable with, which may not fit into the learning pattern of that child. And grade 4 or grade 5, you can't teach these kids everything all at once. It's impossible. No one can take that information in as an adult, let alone a 10 or 11-year-old girl. So it's a very difficult challenge for teachers and for coaches to make sure that everyone is on the same page. It happens with the body. I'm 42 years old. I don't know in the morning what's going to hurt, but I can promise you something is going to hurt when I wake up in the morning. I'm going to physio right now because I've got a crick in my neck the size of Texas, and it's all because of where I work. My body is not aligned. I sit at my kitchen table for 7.5 hours a day and type at a computer, and I'm hunched over like this, and then I'm leaning back like this, and I'm going like this, and back and forth. See, that hurt just doing that too. It's my body. My body is not aligned. If I'm sitting properly, if I'm using the computer properly, if it's up on a little mantle or something like that, that's going to help my body align itself, and that is going to help my body operate properly. It happens in the kitchen. Everybody has probably been to a restaurant and had a poor experience. That might be the meal wasn't very good. That might be the waitress and waiter wasn't very good. That might be the whole thing that nobody has any idea what's going on. If the chef's specialty is filet mignon and the waiter and the waitress is telling you got to try the ravioli, are they aligned? Is that the best client experience that restaurant is able to give somebody? If the chef's definition of medium rare is different from what the client's is that going to give the client the best restaurant experience that they could possibly have? No. And if it gets worse, that's when these guys show up.